Okay, we're back. We've got another video here. We're at the St. Louis, or the Benchless Rifle Club of St. Louis here at the 2025 NDRSA Group Nationals. As always, my trusted partners in crime and fellow Hall of Fame members, Harley Baker, and four-time Super Shoot winner and Hall of Fame member, our good pal, Jeff Summers. We're going to talk today about cleaning rifles. Just what everybody wants to know, right?
Exactly.
And look, you know, before you guys roll your eyes and stuff, and a video about cleaning the rifle, we're going to share kind of our input and what's worked well for us and what we feel is real important to clean the rifle. So first off, how many rounds do you guys feel that you need to shoot, or what is the tipping point to where you say, you know what, in my practice I've shot X rounds, I need to clean the rifle? Jeff, what do you?
I like to do it 15 to 20 rounds.
Okay.
I think if you get more than 20, that's just too many. 15, you probably can start seeing some downgrading of accuracy.
Right.
You know, it depends on the barrel. You never know.
Right. Yep.
Around 15 rounds.
Right.
Yeah. It varies.
It's like out here at St. Louis right now, yesterday was 100, 101 degrees. I usually don't like to go over 12 when I get those kind of temperatures. Through the winter time when I'm practicing, I might go up to 15 as Jeff does. But usually somewhere between 10, 12 rounds, that's about, then I want to clean it. Because that's the way I'm going to be shooting, that's where I'm going to be competing. I clean after every group.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and most of my groups are done in 10 rounds. So I figure I don't want to go over 12. As long as my cleaning regimen gives me 12 rounds, I'm happy.
Right.
You bring up a good point, the temperature. It's been hot out here, 96 degrees, 98 degrees. The gun's going to foul more. It's going to have a tendency to foul more, and Harley's exactly right. You need to keep on that.
Right. No, great point. And if I might add, when you're tuning and practicing and you're trying different loads, it's always good to work the tire powder window just to see where that upper limit is for your load. But in doing that, you are certainly going to shoot a load that's too hot. Now, not only will you have a poor group, right, because the load's too hot, but the other thing that people, our viewers, need to be cognizant of is that now you foul that barrel.
Right.
And normal cleaning, and we'll talk about normal cleaning versus some of the different things that we're going to do or what we do, and what needs to be done to get out that fouling. And to Jeff and Harley's point, hot weather can a lot of times be the great proving ground to where you're going to start putting copper down towards the muzzle. A lot of times we really don't have copper issues, but when you get into hot, dry weather and the peak of the summertime, where we're like here in St. Louis, you're going to see that your barrel will have a propensity to lay down some copper in the muzzle. So it's got to be something that you're cognizant of. And also, we don't have it handy here, but borrow or purchase a bore scope. It is a great tool. And today we've got a couple great products. There's a Hawkeye bore scope. It's probably the gold standard for clarity and looking at your barrel. And it's good to get your gunsmith involved so he can educate you on what that, foul barrel or what you're looking at, what you're actually seeing.
Absolutely.
Of late, maybe the last 7-8 years, there's been another company, Tesla, who's got a great bore scope product for less than a couple $100. That will also allow you to see inside your barrel, to really look at, number one, what type of shape your barrel's in. Maybe you've got some fire cracking because you have X amount of hundreds or thousands of rounds, but you really want to see how good is your cleaning method. Are you getting that powder fouling out? Certainly copper, and the biggest thing is detrimental to our accuracy is carbon fouling. There's a lot of great bore cleaners on the market. This is my rifle, and I've been using this First Choice bore cleaner from Canada. It's water-based. It works very well. And again, there's a lot of good bore cleaners out there, but the one thing that all the liquid bore cleaners will not do is really cut carbon. Some might work a little bit better than others, but inevitably you're going to need either IOSO or JB paste in order to have friction to cut through some of that carbon.
Or cleaners. So Harley, what, Jack said he's using the Canadian stuff? What do you use?
Mostly Vortec Eliminator products, and I've used Wipeout Patch Out successfully for years, back and forth between the two of them. When I'm cleaning, there's something, as you do this long enough, there's certain things that you're gonna want to feel when you're pushing your rod through. There's certain things you're gonna wanna look for. Normally, my routine is to 3 patches, then I brush, and then I got a couple of patches. And if it doesn't do it, I have to go to 4 patches. I have to go to 5. Sometimes, right now, I'm at 5 patches when this temperature is 98, 100. But with the Vortec products, I have no problem getting it out. But as Jack said, I know when at the end of the day, I let my solvent sit in there for, say, an hour, and then if I push it through and I'm seeing copper, then it's not getting it out during the course of the day. I have to do something.
Well, and let's point something out. A lot of times people will be brushing their barrel and then immediately they'll push out that solvent and the patch is blue and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got copper in the barrel. No, you really don't. When you want to test for copper is the first 3 or 4 patches using a good solvent. If you have copper deposits in your barrel, that patch will turn streaks of blue. Do not use the method after you've brushed and run a dry patch through. You're always going to get blue, but it's coming off the bronze bristles of the brush, so it'll be a false read of copper. That's so important because so many times we get asked, geez, my barrel is copper fouling. And when we peel the onion back, well, how do you know it's copper fouling? Well, after I get done brushing, I push a patch through, and that patch is always blue. And the good news is that copper was coming from the bronze bristles, not from the copper in the barrel. You know, the other thing too, people sometimes, if the gun is in tune, they may not clean their gun. They've shot maybe 7 or 8 shots on a given target, and then the next match, they may come up. And if your rifle's in tune, you also are burning up all that powder, so you don't have that powder residue. But that is a short-term gain, and what happens is that if you are not cleaning the barrel, and we've all done it for an ag, we've not cleaned it, the gun shot really well. The gun was in tune, we're really fortunate. If the gun's a little bit too hot, you're not burning all the powder from that load, and that powder is going to turn into powder fouling and or carbon. And with that, you want to be very, very careful that if you want to keep shooting on that barrel another match, every time you're shooting that match and come back, that powder fouling is like increasing your powder to where you're changing the load, that you're getting hotter and hotter and hotter. So in our game, where you have 2, 3, and 4 guns won by 10,000ths of an inch in group shooting, it is so important to make sure that you're not fighting your gun because the barrel is not clean. So with that, let me kind of take you through what I do in our process. You know, again, we talked about solvents. Let's just talk a little bit about brushes. I know it's popular opinion in a lot of maybe different forums that, gosh, you don't want to use a bronze brush, it's going to damage your brush or your barrel. Nothing could be further from the truth. A good bronze brush is a must. If you want to use a nylon brush with a solvent, it may work, but a lot of times it's going to take a lot longer for that solvent to really do its job when you're only agitating the barrel with a nylon brush. And I know you brought up a good point. When you're putting a new brush on, take a moment, making sure that union at the edge of your brush and that cleaning rod, there is no ferrule that's sticking out, that when you're pulling the bronze brush through the muzzle, you are not dinging or wearing out the muzzle. The crown. Yeah, so it's, again, so important to take time, and it doesn't hurt if you do feel an indifference or a sharp edge to your bronze brush, use just, a basic file or some crocus cloth to work on that union to where it's a seamless transition. The other thing that's a big bugaboo, two things. We see people that are in a hurry and they are trying to get that barrel cleaned as quickly as possible. We understand that. When you're cleaning your barrel, take time to slowly pull that brush against that muzzle or your crown before pulling it in. Going in and out really fast and having that cleaning rod whip out the muzzle, you're just going to wear out that crown really quickly and stuff. Did you want to add anything there?
No, and to do our cleaning between our matches, normally on a regular 2-gun, we have about 35 minutes. You should be able to clean your barrel effectively. 3-4 minutes, that's all you are behind the gun.
Right.
Now, you're going to come back to it after you do your reloading to wipe it out while it's soaking, that's fine. But don't have a routine that takes you more than 5 minutes.
Right.
You're just, you're wasting time. 3 or 4 minutes, your gun should be clean enough to go back out. It's going to sit there for 20 minutes while you're reloading. But I see guys just over clean. Everything's got to be immaculate, it's spotless, it's this.
Yeah, you're just elongating, making that process longer than it needs to
And
be.
Jack brought up a good point also. You see some guys in a hurry, and it looked like they're just
bending the back of the rod
just as fast as they can. That is a big no-no.
Right. The other thing too is talk about bore guides.
There you go. Yeah.
We're very fortunate right now that there's a gentleman, Dennis Wagner, who sells a copy of the TK Nolan cleaning rod guide. And the cleaning rod guide is really going to act in two functions. Number one, it's going to help ensure to the best it can that you are not going to put wear, particularly at 6 o'clock or 12 o'clock on the top or bottom of your barrel by bending the cleaning rod up or down. So it does give you some mental guidance to help get you to make sure that you're pushing that cleaning rod in line with the barrel. The other big thing that we see too is that a good cleaning rod guide has a good O-ring, good fit,
yes,
to where your solvents are not going to drip or get into the bedding or your glue of your rifle. So very important to have a good cleaning rod guide. PMA Tool makes some very good Delron ones. They also have a 2-piece where there's a separate insert to help further guide your cleaning rod in, as well as the TK Nolan copy that Dennis Wagner is making and selling. Both are great products, and it's good you absolutely have to have it, otherwise you're going to ruin an expensive barrel. So with that said, kind of let me take you through what I do. And again, there are many ways to clean that barrel. We're all trying to get to the goal of having the barrel clean to provide us with the best and smallest groups. You can screw up with too light a load, too hot a load. You may not handle the wind conditions well, but you never want your barrel to beat you because it's fouled and you're going to the line with one arm tied behind your back for success, because that barrel is just not going to operate or produce the smallest group. So let's talk a little bit about what I do.
Now, one thing important, you notice in Wade Jack's rifle is set up in the cradle, its muzzle is down, because I see some people cleaning they lay it flat on the table and it's just back and forth. If that O-ring and that bore guide leaks, it's in that trigger. You got all that solvent.
Yeah,
right there. If everything's going to stay up in the chamber right now, or run out the muzzle.
Right. And also become very disciplined that every time you use your cleaning rod, you want to make sure you wipe it down.
Yes.
You can get so much grit or pick up steel wool strands, miscellaneous, grit that you're just going to rub into the barrel. And for a second, let's just talk about cleaning rods. There's stainless steel ones and there's coated Dewey. I think each of us three have preferred to use the coated rod.
Yes.
I think that gives you just a little bit more protection in the barrel. So it's so important that a good coated cleaning rod, and there's several good coated rods out. I think Vortec is out there, and there's several others and stuff. Whatever you prefer. The first thing that I like to do, and again, we're going to, first, when I get off the line, I want to use a Pro Shot, specifically soft black nylon brush. There's several manufacturers that make nylon brushes, but the Pro Shot one offers a softer nylon brush. And I'll use a 6.5 caliber nylon brush. It's going to give me just enough friction, but not being too loose or too tight. And what I'm going to do is I simply put some Ioso with a little bit of Butch's Borshine, and I just make up a little bit of a slurry mix. And when I come off the line, I'm just going to put just a small bead of that slurry. And all I want to do here, all my carbon is generally going to be in the first maybe 6, 8 inches or so of the barrel. I don't need to constantly brush back and forth, maybe 8 or 10 good strokes back and forth, and I'm done with the nylon brush. Now a lot of people say, well, can I use a cotton patch to apply your Ioso or JB? You can, but you're more going to polish the top of the lands with a nylon brush. And if you do get the top of the lands too smooth, you're definitely going to start to put down copper. So a soft nylon brush works very, very well. You don't have to spend a lot of time. 6, 8, 10 strokes, just 6 or 8 inches in front of that chamber will help break that up. And now, after I've done that, I want to make sure I just wipe the Ioso residue off that cleaning rod. I never want to put down a dirty rod on the table. My next step is I will take a separate cleaning rod. I don't like to have to change jags for brushes, so invest in 3 different cleaning rods. This one has got a pointed jag on it. I get these from PMA Tool. It pierces the patch very well. Now here's my strategy. What I'm going to do after I've used a nylon brush, I am going to just repeat the process, but all I'm going to do is use a dry patch, and I'm going to pick up a lot of that Ioso that was in the barrel. I'm not going to go crazy back and forth with polishing the barrel, but I do want to pick up a lot of that Ioso paste. Now, on top of it, I want to start to apply my solvent. And with that, there's 2 different ways to do this. You can have a smaller patch, and I'm using a 22 caliber PMA jag with an 1 3/4 patch. This smaller patch will allow me to deliver solvent into the barrel. I'm not going to squeegee it out with a bigger patch that's too tight. Many people, a lot of times, will try to find a real tight patch. Well, what that's actually doing is you're squeegeeing your solvent back into your bore guide. And when you take your bore guide out, it's dripping and you can't figure out what's happening. You're applying more and more solvent and you're not seeing it come out the muzzle. And another word, and I think you guys can agree, if and when you are cleaning your barrel, use plenty of solvent. Don't try to go on the cheap where you're just using a few drops, but you want to make sure that you're getting enough solvent on the brush, which we'll see in a minute. So what I'm going to do first is I go to a little bit smaller patch, and I put a liberal amount of the first choice bore cleaner in, and I'm going to take my time when I'm pulling that cleaning rod through. I'm not jerking that cleaning rod with that patch on there, which is going to bend that jag against that crown. And I slowly pull it out. Now I'm going to opt to the larger 2-inch round circle patches, and you can use whatever brand patch that you like. I like the Pro Shot patches, they seem to work well. Again, I'm applying a liberal amount of solvent to first patch, and what I'm going to do is run 2 wet patches, 2-inch circle patches, wet with solvent. And this is plenty adequate to remove most all of that ISO paste that was in the barrel. Once I've done that, I've got enough solvent in the barrel there. Now I'm going to go to brushing the barrel. And again, every time I'm picking up a brush or my cleaning rod before I put it in the barrel, it's going to be cleaned up. And again, using a liberal amount of solvent. I'm cognizant I don't want the cleaning rod way high in the back. And I'm going to push it through. And when I pull it through, I'm going to wait for it to square up and pull it through. And again, it's not about being fast. It's about being kind to your muzzle and your crown of your rifle. Typically, I'll do maybe 10 or 12 strokes if I've shot 12 to 15 rounds. Okay, so we brushed it. Now a lot of times I will go and load my ammo right now. I'll let that agitated solvent sit in the barrel. If there's copper falling, it's going to get it out. And what a lot of us do, you can use whatever you want. Some people use lighter fluid. I try to just rinse off the bronze brush in rubbing alcohol. And after I've rinsed it off, I'll just touch the towel on it to get the excess amount on it. Alright? So now I've had my barrel sit for a little bit of time while I've been loading my ammo. Before I'm going to the line, now I'm going to take my other Dewey rod with the jag. I'll use a 2-inch round patch. And what I'm going to do now is I'm pushing all that solvent, everything out of that barrel. Okay? Now, here's a very important part. Most of our solvents today will dry that barrel. And a dried barrel will not shoot well. We need to put some lubrication back into that stainless steel. Some people opt for Lockies, that liquid graphite with just maybe 2 or 3 small drops. I've been just putting 2 patches of Butch's Borshine, which has got transmission fluid in it. And this will return lubrication back to the barrel. Okay, now here's an important area to focus on. We've just cleaned the barrel, right? A really good thing to pay attention to is your last patch. All right, here I'm going to use a little bit smaller, 1 3/4. I've put 2 wet patches of Butch's Borshine, so it's put the lube back in the barrel. I could have used the Lockies, whatever you prefer. Now, here's what I pay close attention to. My last patch, when I start to push it through the barrel, I am paying close attention to the first 8, 10 inches. I want to make sure that there is no chatter to where I'm feeling powder or carbon falling in that barrel. And you can opt to use liquid, whatever type of bore cleaner without any type of JB or ISO. And I know there's going to be a lot of discussion about, oh my gosh, you're ruining the barrel with your ISO or your JB. And guys and gals, I will tell you that the barrels are really a consumable item. Yes, you may put a little wear if you're going crazy with JB or ISO, but do you want your barrel to last X amount of time and perform at its maximum, or would you rather shoot a foul barrel and have the barrel last a lot longer but not perform? In my book, I'm going to make sure that barrel is clean as possible, so I'm not fighting the barrel cleanliness. Now that I've pushed that patch through, I've left remnants of Butch's Borshine, so that barrel is clean, and it's enough that that stainless steel has got some lubrication to it. Now the other thing I'm going to do remove the cleaning rod guide. I'll use a bore mop with a clean patch. And I want to go in and pick up any type of cleaning solvent or residue in that chamber, so I'm not shooting against any type of liquid in that chamber. I'm giving that bullet and that cartridge, a fresh start. So very important, and that's basically how I clean. I know you guys follow a very similar process. The gun is ready to shoot now. And I'm going to pay attention certainly to my round count, that if I am testing, there is going to be some accuracy degradation after X amount of rounds. The hotter the day, the less rounds you can practice, where you're really going to start picking up powder fouling, and certainly copper. Guys, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Just pay attention to the patches coming out, because some days, as I said a little bit earlier, fouling can get in front of you. And normally I'm 3 patches and I'm ready to go. I just cannot get it done. So pay attention to the patches when they're coming out of that barrel. Is this normally what I'm looking for? If it's extra dirty, or if you start picking up copper, now you're going to have to start to say, where's this thing coming from? Is it coming from too many shots? The barrel's too hot? What's going on? And you're going to have to take some extra care in getting rid of that copper.
Right.
I'd like to add a little something also. You got a perfectly clean barrel now. So when you take it back up to the line, you want to fire 1, maybe 2 shots, put a little fouling in there on the barrel. They may or may not go to the exact point of aim that you're wanting, but you need to put a couple of shots downrange before you actually go to group.
Yeah, and I would recommend not putting any kind of heavy oil in a patch. Oil will turn to carbon,
Yes.
and your gun will not shoot. Something very light, like I say, a lot of our competitors are using Lockies. I think that you guys might use a couple drops of Lockies. I've been using Butches for years. Just, you want to put a little bit of lubrication in. With today's solvents, they definitely have a propensity to dry that barrel out.
Right, yeah.
And if you shoot on that dry barrel, that gun will not shoot to its
And
capability.
like you said, you don't want to use a completely wet patch. Just take a patch
Just
with
enough.
a couple of drops.
Yeah.
It's plenty. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Now, moving on to the bolt. Here's where a lot of people ignore proper maintenance, and I think you'll agree. First off, you want to get some Q-tips, clean off your bolt face. You don't want carbon to build up on your
Pieces
bolt
of
face,
brass.
or pieces of brass. Or certainly you could use just a patch if you don't have Q-tips handy, or using Q-tips. Now, the other thing too is that when people are maybe checking headspace, they may take a case that size, but they've not cleaned the primer pocket. Now you're leaving that carbon
Yes.
in the back of that primer pocket, which will get on your bolt face, and it will etch it, because carbon is going to tear up a bolt face. So if you are checking headspace and you've taken a case and sized it, make sure you clean that primer pocket, that you're not putting a case in that has that carbon that's going to fall out against your bolt face. What I want to do before I shoot is that with my fire control out, I'm going to apply grease to both my locking lugs, each one. And you don't have to go crazy, guys and gals, just a tiny little bit on each lug. Now, I also want to put grease on my camming surface. Right at the camming spot, which is in the crook of the handle, I just put a little bit of grease there. And then on the cocking ramp, a lot of people don't realize the friction that you're getting from your cocking piece on your fire control. As that cocking piece rides up that ramp, you want to make sure that you definitely have those surfaces greased. And all I want to do is make sure that I've got grease in that bolt. Now, you can do the same thing with the fire control in, but it needs to be done on the firing line when you have to follow the range command. If you are going to put grease on a bolt that already has the fire control in. Again, you got to be consistent with the protocols and the range commands before you start your group. Say you have put the grease on each locking lug. Here's what a lot of people will do. They will insert the bolt, and without holding the trigger to disengage it, they will close the bolt. You have just wiped off all that grease.
Yes.
It's important that if you are on the firing line and you've gotten the commence fire command and you have just put grease on your lugs, hold your your trigger, depress it, which releases the top lever in your trigger and allows you to retain that grease on your locking lugs without wiping it off. Now there's a couple other places in your fire control that need attention. You want to put a little bit of grease on your flat spot on the top of your your shroud, and also on the side of your shroud, as well as the small lugs that go into the back of the bolt. This requires just the same thing, just a hair of grease around the flat spot, around the top, on the side, and each lug gets a little bit of grease. The other thing that I want to do is I'll use a very light oil and a couple little drops behind the firing pin on the straight section, and maybe 2 or 3 drops on the back of the spring right in front of the shroud. And additionally, I'm going to put a little bit, 2 or 3 drops. Don't go crazy here, guys, because this will screw up your ignition. Maybe 2, 3 small, very small drops inside the shroud. So your cocking piece has lubrication. And I'll gently move that up and down before I will put it in the gun. Now the gun is ready to shoot. Okay. Anything else you guys might want to add?
One quick point, just as Jack was using the 1 3/4, these things fray. And you've got to be aware of these little pieces that can get in there when you're cleaning out that chamber, when you're doing your final. Make sure that some of this has not gotten into this trigger or into the bolt lugs or anything like that. Even though Jack was went into the chamber and wiped it out, sometimes
just one little thread will prevent your bolt from going into the gun. And with the close tolerances of our custom actions today, there is no room for one piece of thread. Sometimes it'll get underneath the bolt, your bolt will wedge. Sometimes you'll have a thread, to Harley's point, get in the locking lug area. I don't have the tool here, but locking lug tool, which is similar to a bore mop, where it's got a cotton felt pad to it. You want to go in and also clean out your lugs, just to make sure no frayed pieces of the patches are left there. Now, as we are shooting in warmer weather, hot weather, and if you're in a dusty climate, for years I've been just using a piece of foam rubber, and if my gun is on the line while I'm going back to load, I will keep a piece of foam rubber, or if you're using paper towel, same thing. What I want to do is prevent grit that might be blowing around on a hot day from getting into my locking lugs. You don't want to cause a galling problem. And this is, again, you can buy this sheet at Walmart for several dollars and cut up just a slice of it, just whatever, couple inches wide. And when I'm going back to load, I will keep just foam rubber or a piece of paper towel, whatever you have handy. And you want to just keep that in there. That, I tell you, can really prevent a real heartache where you've galled up your lugs because you've got grit inside that action. So, guys, I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
All your input.
Good job.
And I hope that helps everyone out there. And again, please subscribe, like us, share our information with other people, and give us a comment of what you guys would like to see. And Harley, Jeff, and I will make a video to address it and help you guys be more successful into this bench rest game that we each love so much.
Send us some questions. We like questions.
Yep, we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.